Good evening, live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television. Here we present to you tonight's news bulletin. But first, the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq issues 8 royal decrees. His Majesty the Sultan sends a cabal of greetings to His Excellency the President of Tunisia on his country's independence anniversary. The Financial Affairs and Energy Resources Council reviews the decline in global oil prices and their negative effects on the financial situation of the state. The government and private sectors take precautionary measures to reduce the impacts of COVID-19 on citizens and establishments. Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq has issued 8 royal decrees. Royal Decree number 24/2020 on ratification of the agreement between the governments of the Sultanate of Oman and Kazakhstan, signed on the 11th of June 2018, on mutual exemption of visas for diplomatic, private and service passport holders. Article 1 ratifies the aforementioned agreement. Article 2, this decree shall be published in the official gazette and come into force from the day of its issue. Royal Decree number 25/2020 on the approval of the joining of the Sultanate of Oman to the international agreement regarding the civil liability to the pollution damage resulting from the 2001 tanker oil spill. Article 1 approves the aforementioned agreement. Article 2, the bodies concerned shall deposit the instruments of accession to the said convention as per its provisions. Article 3, this decree shall be published in the official gazette and come into force from the day of its issue. Royal Decree number 26/2020 on endorsing the agreement for air transportation services between the government of the Sultanate of Oman and Republic of Uzbekistan and the attached protocol. Article 1 endorses the agreement and the protocol attached thereto as per the attached version. Article 2, this decree shall be published in the official gazette and shall come into force from the date of its issue. Royal Decree number 27/2020 on approving the Sultanate's accession to cooperative agreement for Arab states in Asia for research, development and training related to nuclear science, ARASIA. Article 1 approves Oman's accession to the said agreement. Article 2, the bodies concerned shall take action to join the said agreement as per its provisions. Article 3, this decree shall be published in the official gazette and come into force from the day of its issue. Royal Decree number 28/2020 on approving Sultanate's accession to the Nairobi International Convention on the removal of wrecks for year 2007. Article 1 approves accession to the said convention. Article 2, the bodies concerned shall deposit the instruments of accession to the said convention as per its provisions. Article 3, this decree shall be published in the official gazette and come into force from the day of its issue. Royal Decree number 29/2020 on the approval of the Sultanate of Oman joining the UNESCO Agreement on Protection of Underwater Cultural Heritage. Article 1 approves the aforementioned agreement. Article 2, the bodies concerned shall deposit the instruments of accession to the agreement mentioned above according to its provisions. Article 3, this decree shall be published in the official gazette and come into force from the day of its issue. Royal Decree number 30/2020 on ratification of the Charter of the Indian Ocean Rim Association. Article 1 ratifies the aforementioned charter according to the attached appendix. Article 2, this decree shall be published in the official gazette and come into force from the day of its issue. Royal Decree number 31/2020 on ratification of the agreement between the government of the Sultanate of Oman and the government of India in maritime transport field signed in Muscat on 24th of December 2019. Article 1 ratifies the aforementioned agreement. Article 2, this decree shall be published in the official gazette and come into force from the day of its issue. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sends a cabal of greetings to His Excellency President Qais Said of Tunisia on his country's independence anniversary. The Financial Affairs and Energy Resources Council reviewed during its meeting today the global economic developments resulted from impacts of the spread of coronavirus COVID-19 and severe decline being witnessed by the global oil prices and their negative effects on the financial situation of the state. The Council approved a number of measures, including the need of adherence by ministries and government civil and military and security units to the decrees decided on their budget by 5% and conducting comprehensive review on general expenditure items that targets achieving additional reduction and reviewing support and capital operation and administrative expenditure of government companies, including financial and human resources regulations. The Council also stressed that the government companies shall be committed to the Financial Circular number 2/2020 with regards to regulations of establishments of new government companies. It also approved financial allocations to enhance food security reserves, financial allocations for preventive measures taken to combat coronavirus COVID-19, supporting the lending portfolio of RAFD Fund to increase the number of loans provided to small and medium enterprises, and preparing the General Debt Draft Law. The Council also stressed the follow-up of government units to implement the decided measures, evaluate the actual performance of the state's general budget every 3 months to assess its commitment to decided measures and the impacts of global economic situations on the Sultanate, and take further precautionary measures to limit their impacts and control the financial deficit. The meeting was chaired by His Excellency Darwish bin Ismail al-Balushi, Minister responsible for Financial Affairs and Deputy Chairman of the Financial Affairs and Energy Resources Council. Within the care accorded by government to reduce the impacts of precautionary measures for coronavirus COVID-19 on citizens and private sectors establishments, a number of measures were taken. These measures include providing additional reserve stock of basic foodstuff, providing storage facilities for food and consumption goods by government bodies to the public sector without fees for the upcoming 6 months, exempting restaurants from paying tourism tax till the end of August 2020, exempting restaurants from paying municipal tax till the end of August 2020, exempting commercial establishments from paying municipal fees till the end of August 2020, postponing loan installments for small and medium establishments payable to a RAFD fund during the upcoming 6 months, postponing loan installments payable to Oman Development Bank during the upcoming 6 months. The Oman Development Bank and a RAFD fund shall implement what is approved by Central Bank of Oman of credit facilities, exempting factories at industrial estates from payable rents for 3 months, exempting companies from paying renewal fees for active commercial registrars during the upcoming 3 months, directing car sale agencies and financing companies to postpone cars and installments for 3 months as per Central Bank of Oman circular, reducing handling, loading and unloading fees at ports, reducing air shipment fees on food and medicine products, calling upon owners of commercial centers and commercial property owners to consider the current situations of their rented shops which are affected by the precautionary measures, whether through exemption reduction or postponement of rents during the current period, in coordination with bodies concerned. To reduce impacts resulted from coronavirus on the industrial sector, a meeting was held for the Board of Directors of the Public Authority for Industrial Estate Madain. Within context of supporting investment companies and factories in various industrial estates, a number of measures and facilities were taken, including stopping the financial claims on companies during the second quarter of the current year, exempting from delay payment fines estimated at 6% during the first half of the year, exempting from financial fines recorded on companies during March and April, postponing the payment of activity practice license fees during the second half of the year, not stopping companies for the expiry of activity practice licenses. The Ministry of Health announced in a statement that it had recorded 6 new cases of coronavirus COVID-19, 2 cases for citizens related to traveling to Spain, another 2 cases for citizens traveling to a Gulf country, and 2 cases traveling to Iran. The statement said 2 cases are undergoing hospital treatment while the rest are subjected to home quarantine. So the total number of registered cases in the Sultanate becomes 39, out of which 37 cases are related to traveling abroad and 2 cases are being under epidemiological surveillance. The ministry assured that the 13 cases have already been recorded. The Ministry of Health calls upon all to adhere to quarantine procedures and to avoid public places or places of worship. Clean hands with soap and water. Avoid touching face, nose and eyes. Follow hygienic habits, which when sneezing and coughing avoid traveling except for utmost necessity, as well as to follow up with the preventive measures during religious rites, families and social gatherings. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. China today marked a major milestone in its battle against the coronavirus pandemic as it's recorded 0 domestic infections for the first time since the outbreak emerged. But a spike in imported cases threatened its progress. The stark reversal comes as nations across the world have shut down in desperate efforts to contain the pandemic, with more people now infected and having died abroad than in China. There were now new cases in Wuhan, the central city where the virus first emerged in December, for the first time since authorities started publishing figures in January. The global number has shot past 200,000 in the European region. Now the epicenter of the COVID-19 pandemic, 8,507 more cases were reported, bringing the cumulative number of infections to 64,189, including 3,108 deaths. France has detected more than 7,700 cases of coronavirus infections and 175 people have died from the virus. Stringent measures to limit gatherings and curb movement were put into effect in France. Germany's Disease Prevention and Control Agency reported nearly 7,200 confirmed cases of novel coronavirus infections, a spike of 1,723 cases from the previous day. Spain reported a total of 13,716 cases of COVID-19 in the country. The death toll now risen to 558. It has declared a state of emergency. A relief package of 200 billion euros has been unveiled to help businesses, workers and vulnerable groups. Meanwhile, Iran reported 1,178 more confirmed cases of COVID-19 and 135 more deaths, with the death toll edging toward 1,000. After contacting the Ministry of Hajj and Umrah in Saudi Arabia, the Ministry of Endowments and Religious Affairs stated that Hajj and Umrah companies must delay making any contract or financial agreements in order to provide its services to pilgrims inside the Sultanate of Oman or in the Holy City. The ministry added that the pilgrims' selection of their services or service provider shall not be binding to make any financial or contractual agreements. Companies must not receive any money from pilgrims unless the companies receive final confirmation of their allotments. Pilgrims must not make any payment to companies until they receive a notification through the online system. The Minister of Endowments and Religious Affairs shall issue another announcement on the work mechanism. Citizens and residents are responding positively to the decisions from the Supreme Committee on COVID-19. Commercial centers and dining areas in hotels and malls in the governorate of the FAR are currently empty. A sharp drop in the number of visitors is witnessed at the public area and tourism destinations to minimize the potential spread of novel coronavirus. Residents in the FAR and other governorates have adhered to the instructions from the concerned authorities and the Supreme Committee by staying home and avoiding going to public and crowded areas. And now let's have a look at the general weather focused around the Sultanate. Clear skies will prevail over the most of the governorates with chances of low clouds and fog late at night and early morning over the governorates of South Al-Sharqiyya and Al-Wusta. Chances of scattered rains are expected over the northmost governorates. Winds will be southeasterly light to moderate. Seas will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1.25 meters. More details on your screen. You're watching the Sultanate of Oman television, and now before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq issues 8 royal decrees. His Majesty the Sultan sends a cabal of greetings to His Excellency the President of Tunisia on his country's independence anniversary. The Financial Affairs and Energy Resources Council reviews the decline in global oil prices and their negative effects on the financial situation of the state. The Government and private sectors take precautionary measures to reduce the impacts of COVID-19 on citizens and establishments. And with that, we do conclude this news bulletin brought to you live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman Television. From the entire news team and myself, we thank you for joining us, wish you a pleasant evening, and stay healthy and safe. Good night.